Hello and welcome to Pivigo Profiles. My name is Doug Ward and I work in the sales and partnerships team here at Pivigo. This is a series about the power of science to data science, Pivigo's Data Science Bootcamp, and what some of the 700 fellows are doing having graduated the program. Now, I'm really pleased to be speaking to Diego Capozzi, who's lead data scientist at FutureLearn. He was in the S2DS class of 2017 and also holds a PhD in astrophysics. Diego, welcome, and how are you?
I'm very well. Thanks very much for having me here. How are you?
No problem. Yeah, really well, thank you. Looking forward to hearing about you and your journey a little bit more. I guess to that end, I've got a couple of quick-fire questions I'd love to ask you. And then we can dig into a little bit of some other things in a bit more detail.
Cool.
Okay, cool. What's a secret talent about yourself?
Maybe two. One is music. I enjoy playing piano and singing. And the other is playing tennis.
Very nice. Do you speak any other languages? I've got a feeling you probably do.
Yeah, of course. I'm originally Italian, so I'm an Italian native speaker. I also speak Neapolitan. You wouldn't hear about it that much. It's a language that is local of Naples and surroundings. And very, very basic French and German, but you know.
And English. Wow, that's quite a collection. What topic could you spend hours talking to me about?
Of course, about physics, astrophysics, space, cosmology. I could talk about it for ages without stopping. But also, in more general terms, it would be maybe ethics and politics, or rights, human rights, especially in general, but also in a working environment.
Yeah, interesting. I've been reading a book about the age of surveillance capitalism, and that definitely raises some issues about politics and kind of what rights people have.
Yeah.
Just moving on, irrational fears. What irrational fears do you have?
That's a very tough question for me because I tend to rationalize a lot. So maybe insects and spiders. I can, sort of be cool about it, but if it's some insects I don't know or they fall onto me, I would probably swiftly distance myself from them.
Yes. Yes, I think I definitely would do the same. If you could predict anything with data science, what would it be?
I will probably go for a prescriptive model to predict the mechanism that govern the distribution of wealth across the population, and probably find a way to change it to make it fairer.
Yes, I can definitely agree and understand the second one. The first one, I'll have to do a bit of research on following the call.
It was more for me, for my fun, personal interest.
What would your dream job be?
My dream job would be definitely somewhere where I can do research and data science at the same time, both applied to space and in the private sector, and hopefully in somewhere where I can be completely independent and decide my own agenda.
What was on a slightly less positive note, what was the worst part of your PhD?
Rather than a PhD, I would say more because I worked as a researcher after a PhD for 5 years, 6 years, something like that. So sure. I would say the worst part were possibly two aspects. One, that I think that that academia needs to be definitely reformed heavily, because it's founded on the work of postdoctoral researchers and PhDs who, without any career prospect, they need to change, or life prospect, because they need to change constantly city and so on. And so also because in this environment, often they are exploited. Their work is exploited by more senior researchers and professors who use their work to boost their own careers. It doesn't happen always, but that's one thing that I'm very critical of it. And the other
Interesting.
thing being extended presence of toxic environment or research misconduct, bullying. This also happens a lot. People don't know about this very much, but this is quite widely spread.
Well, yeah, that sounds like it is tough. On a slightly more positive note, what was the best part?
That I had the honor and pleasure to collaborate with some of the best minds in the world and doing something that I really enjoy, understanding our universe. And that was brilliant. And doing it as a service to the society was also, you know, something that you feel like you're on a mission pretty much. You know, you just try to understand nature and then report back to the society. That's what we found. That's cool. And
Sorry, that's a great title.
Yeah, and I also love doing that as a part of the Dark Energy Survey, which despite everything is a great experiment.
Fantastic, yeah. Exploring nature and then reporting back to society. That's a great phrase. I really like that.
That's the exciting part, you know? Yeah. Hey guys, that's what we found.
Yeah. Amazing. Moving on to the next question. Who's been the most influential person for you?
I don't know professionally. I have huge respect for several physicists, I would say, and scientists. An example would probably be a professor in Naples called Renato Fedele. He's a brilliant physicist, very humble, but very, you know, professional and very intelligent. You know, I really admire him on many aspects. On a personal level, my parents, definitely.
What's the most underrated thing that you know about?
I think, I don't know, from a tech point of view, possibly just a scripting tool. It's like, a text editor.
Yeah.
Which I learned as an undergraduate. It's called NEdit, and it's very much present. I still use it. It's awesome. It's just, you know, you can paste and organize the text in so many ways. It's very practical. You can do amazing stuff. So, but I don't think many people use it.
What's it called? NEdit?
NEdit.
Okay, fantastic. I'll try and find a link and post it below so people can access it. Well, that was great to hear kind of your answers to those and to be able to build up a bit of a picture about yourself. To dig into something in a bit more detail, I'd really love to hear how data science as an industry has developed since you started in it, and perhaps more from like a personal curiosity point of view, any focus around kind of the implementation side of things and productionization that's changed especially.
Well, I think that Intergy has been changing quite a lot, and there is this massive process of digitization of company. And this is pretty much, well, what used to happen best actually in astronomy, where we started using more and more databases. Think that some of the first databases were made in 1980, like think of the NASA SIMBAD or the NASA Extragalactic Database. And so I sort of see this whole process of organizing data, collecting them and storing them into a unique source of truth. It's a process that I've seen before, and now I've seen it happening. And this is very interesting, but it requires a lot of work. And so I see companies, personally, in my opinion, in sort of stages. One being that they may not have infrastructure yet. They may hire already data scientists. And if you're in that situation, for data scientists, it's very difficult to be impactful.
Yeah.
The other one, instead, they believe, some companies believe they're already data-driven. And so they hire data scientists and they think that they should explain and tell how data scientists should work, while data scientists know very much what they're doing. So, and then the third part, which unfortunately I think is still the minority, is more like companies where they already done this digitization process is completed. And so they are in full position of exploiting a full power data scientist who can advise the companies properly what application they should do and how they should productionize them. And it's all about creating infrastructure to make it also quicker, all based on the clouds, and also to allow computationally expensive tasks that can only be done when you format everything in a scalable way.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I definitely agree that there are a lot of companies that I come across that want to kind of start to do some data science, but perhaps don't have their data organized in any fit state to have a data scientist start to look at it.
Yeah. It's important to get informed before making the decision to invest in data science. Inform yourself, because otherwise there's the problem that data science is widely misunderstood. Everybody wants it, but it's also misunderstood.
Yes, yeah. And I guess a lot of the time as well, and I guess this is from personal experience with some of the projects here, that some of the learnings from data science and some of the insights that it throws up can actually be quite converse to dearly held company beliefs, and delivering that information is quite challenging for a data scientist to do.
It is, and it can put also you under a lot of pressure, because if there is a belief, and science by definition challenges the status quo, that's what we do. That's our job. We go and poke and try, is it really true? So
it can be
very, yeah. So it is very difficult, because not always you find on the other hand a person who trusts you and listens to you. It's important to build that trust.
Yeah, most definitely. I guess following on that trust kind of path slightly, you're talking about society and how you'd like to kind of impact that with the Gini index and wealth distribution. What risks do you think data science poses to society in general, and I guess touching on that in the distribution of wealth?
I think there can be many, let's say several, let's not be too negative, several risks that and they depend on the domain data science is applied to. And we could generalize them, maybe like potential loss of money, harming individuals, like either physically or psychologically, or unethical decision making, and or manipulation of people behaviors. We've seen cases of this. And I think, in my opinion, the majority of these risks originate from a limited domain knowledge, limited regulation, and self-regulation of the actual practitioners. It's the same as driving a car. Would you give a car to a kid? Probably no. You want to give a car to somebody who has taken a license, so that that person is fully aware of the tool they're handling, and the risk they can evaluate before doing something. And so it's the same nowadays with data science, I believe. And there is a lot of confusion around definitions of data scientists, analysts, machine learning engineers, MLOps engineers, and so on. And this confusion, coupled with the limited regulation, I think are some of the main sources of these risks. So hopefully this will change very quickly.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think there's definite fragmentation around also. Before everyone was a data scientist, and now there are, segments, data engineers or machine learning engineers.
There are segments, but the segmentation is not the problem. It's like defining roles, and also decide who's competent to do what.
Yes.
And it's not a matter of, say, you're less worthy than another person. It's just different tasks, and they are all equally let's say we should show the same respect for any of these roles. They are all useful. They are all like indispensable and fundamental. You can't have a properly data science project, a properly made data science project without having appropriate data, and who selects the, who provides data analysts with data engineers. So all these aspects need to work together to make something that is robust and fair.
Yeah, I agree. Would you kind of propose or say that there needs to be some sort of equivalent driving license then for working in data science on certain areas or certain aspects or elements of organizations?
Definitely. I don't know if we, I mean, nowadays, of course, now there are courses at universities or online, of course. So I think this kind of titles, let's say, becoming more common, but also we need to observe each other and we need to decide on an approach. And the approach is all these, you know, what could go wrong? What if? All these questions should happen before, at the beginning of a project. And we should constantly monitor whether the answer to we're not doing anything, we're not harming anybody, we're not doing anything that is unethical. The answer to these questions is always no. That's fine. We're not doing anything that you need to monitor because things can change. You know, even if we take, you know, the classical example about the social media, like Facebook and so on. You know, we all seen the documentary that was released on Netflix recently. But you know, even the most innocent thing that can be done, then there can be a business model that changes the nature of what was created and then is used in a different way. So you need to monitor that whatever you invented or deployed still works within ethical standards.
Interesting. Oh, so part of an overall project plan, so from inception and scope defining right the way through to productionization and, you know, model refinement, full life cycle. Really interesting. Yeah, that's definite food for thought, Diego, for myself anyway.
Yeah.
I'm conscious of the time, and I don't want to, you know, take up too much of yours. I know you're very busy. But thanks ever so much for talking. And if anyone watching this, I'll put a link below if anyone wants to get in touch with Diego and have a talk about any of the points we mentioned. But yeah, thank you very much, Diego, for talking. It was really interesting.
Thanks to you for having me here. Thanks very much.